Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
AJ Styles and Samoa Joe just went night-night. I'm Ollie Davis, this is Luke Owen. We couldn't think of a better title. It's the WrestleRamble review edition of last night's SmackDown, the go-home episode for Hell in a Cell, where one of the best feuds coming out of SummerSlam was Joe versus AJ for the WWE title, SmackDown's top championship belt. And it was going well. Joe was calling out AJ's family. AJ, on this episode, cut a pretty decent empty arena promo. I thought that was a good performance. And then Samoa Joe, the psychopathic killer, the guy who's been targeting Styles' family, read a bedtime story version of their feud with rotoscoped pictures over the graphics and visuals from their matches so far, and it's not what I would have done.
Is this worse than the letter?
It's different.
Mm-hmm.
It's different from the letter.
Yeah. It's different kinds of not good.
So let's unpack this. Let's go to AJ first. AJ's in this empty arena, and this is actually let's backtrack even more.
Okay.
This is for the WWE Championship, SmackDown's top belt. It's between AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, a feud that practically writes itself. And, to their credit, WWE have added in this family dynamic that initially I nor you were fans of, but they've made it work and then some.
I think the lads themselves have made it work.
Yes, particularly Joe.
In the hands of others, this might not have worked.
But this feels like a mid-card feud.
Well, I mean, I said this in the SmackDown review.
Just in the terms of how it's been presented.
I said in the SmackDown review, if you'd essentially flipped the angles that you did, so if you'd have done AJ's promo and Joe reading the bedtime story on last week's show, and then on this week's show you did the big pull-apart brawl and everything like that, it would have been like, oh man, this is like really intense. We're building into Hell in a Cell, and it might have made you forget about the promos that happened the week previous. But it didn't. It was the other way around. And I've said this, it feels like this feud is constantly booked out of order. Like the letter, in and of itself, isn't terrible. But it was the go-home angle for SummerSlam. Had that happened at the start, and you'd done a pull-apart brawl, and on the go-home show, or that, when Joe laid him out with the Coquina clutch, the first bit they did, if you'd have done that bit at the end, that would have felt like a gradual increase. Here, we kind of increase and then decrease and then increase again, but in the wrong places. And it just feels like it's mad out of order.
And that was the exact same criticism we had for Styles and Nakamura.
Yeah.
It felt like that feud was booked out of order. It is a shame because this should be one of the real big featured matches on the card. I think this and Lynch and Charlotte, there's a reason to put them in the cage inside Hell in a Cell. And I know, that makes deep down me sick because this is actually only Lynch and Charlotte's first singles encounter of their storyline, and it's only AJ and Joe's second.
Yeah.
So really, in the grand scheme of things, Hell in a Cell matches should be used right at the end. But comparatively, for the rest of the matches on SmackDown, they should be getting, if you're going to have a Hell in a Cell match, it should be one of those two, not Hardy and Jeff.
And again, we talked about this in the Raw review yesterday, but Super Showdown has really hampered the booking. And the same thing happened with Greatest Royal Rumble, where it was like, we need to get through some of these pay-per-views so we can get past Super Showdown and then we can move on to another pay-per-view. Because they've already announced AJ and Joe for Super Showdown, which means after Hell in a Cell, we already know we're going to continue the build towards that. And they've announced it for SmackDown 1000, so we need to continue the build for that. You can't just sort of blow your load of pull-apart brawls and things like that. You have to kind of artificially stagger and stretch this out because you've got another month and a half to have this feud yet. And I think that's why you've ended up with it all feeling a bit out of order and things like Joe reading out a children's story or a bedtime story because they're sat in the writer's room going like, we've got another 8 weeks of TV to write around this. What are we going to do? I don't know, a children's book?
But it feels like SmackDown is treating this feud, which is a good feud, We like the feud. We like the people involved. We like the motivation behind Joe and AJ. But it's never been treated with the seriousness it deserves.
It is a mid-card feud.
Yeah, it's
because
like,
on the pay-per-view it will be in the mid-card.
They're not getting main event angles.
Absolutely not.
They're not even getting proper in-ring stuff at the moment. This is all pre-recorded earlier in the day on the Go Home show.
And I think if AJ had done his promo in front of the live crowd, it would have gotten even better. But because no one was reacting to the promo, and we saw that they were watching the promo on the screen in the arena, but no one was reacting to it. And why would you? He's not there. And no one reacted to Joe's either because it's on screen, and you're not reacting to anything that's on screen.
Yeah, it's like, oh, one of the top the champion on SmackDown. Oh, he's not here for the show.
For the Go Home show.
Yeah, maybe he's here in the dark match.
But we've got to get through 205 Live to get to that.
Yeah, I'll just sit on my hands. So that was the first part of this Go Home angle, and it was AJ Styles doing an empty arena promo, and he talked about how they've been friends for 20 years. And that kind of bugs me that WWE is never very consistent on what exists outside of WWE. Mm-hmm. But fine, that was a nice little wrinkle. And then say, hey, Joe's got a family, but I'd never go after Joe's family.
I have integrity.
But Joe's gone after mine, but I'm the best wrestler. And this arena, and I really did like AJ's performance here. And when he goes, this arena, pointing to this empty arena, which is why I thought it worked in the empty arena format. It seemed serious, even if the crowd didn't really react for it. He goes, this is the house AJ Styles built, and it's not for rent, it's not for sale. Yeah. Yeah,
and it's great, but it's not a go-home promo.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where my issues with this lies. This didn't feel like, man, I can't wait to see that match now at Hell in a Cell, which I did have last week. After that angle last week, I was like, damn, I'm really looking forward to that now. But now I'm like, I mean, it's going to be mid-card. I've been told that I don't really need to care about it, I suppose. And AJ's feuds since winning the belt have never really felt like the main event of SmackDown. Like, it's always felt like there is something bigger than AJ Styles and the WWE Championship. And in particular, at the moment, it's Daniel Bryan and The Miz.
Well, AJ Nakamura was pushed at the top. It was just
I don't know if it was.
Well, what was
I'm trying to think what was in place of it, but it never felt like. Perhaps this is just me, but it never felt like that was the most important thing on that show.
Maybe it's because that's when dual-branded pay-per-views came back all the time. Mm-hmm. So you're not main eventing pay-per-views. It was Roman and Joe main evented over that was it the last man standing match
the
between
one at
Nakamura
Backlash
and AJ? Backlash, yeah. Best of both worlds. That gives me Vietnam flashbacks now to our dance routine. That was the opening song. This is gonna be phenomenal.
Still gets stuck in my head, that little mix we've got.
My lady partner keeps singing Real Man's Man around the house. She's like, I hate you for doing this to me. But later on in the show was the Night promo by Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
And this was, again, not Joe in the flesh. It was a pre-recorded thing. And quite a hokey pre-recorded thing. I wouldn't mind this if this was the video package before the match. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't be my first way to present this feud, but I didn't. As an actual video package, that's fine. But as what's essentially an interview, a promo rather than a recap video package, I thought this was hokey, and it's Joe sitting down. He's got a prop book
that he's clearly made himself.
Yes, that says Night AJ
by Samoa Joe. There's even a bit on the back.
Like a whole book with pages with the words that he's reading and pictures which become animated rotoscoped clips from their feud. And it's just like, but Joe was the cool one. So if you just want me to explain this in my own head, he's made this prop book. He's been talking with the production team to make these transitions. This isn't cool, Joe. This is stupid, Joe.
And I mentioned this in the review, but it's exactly the same build. And Road Dogg, you can tell that he is the lead on this, because a lot of the stuff that he does on SmackDown feels like stuff that he remembers from back in the day. And he's like, oh, we did this thing back in the day, and I remember really liking it, so we should do something similar to that. And this is Shane McMahon and Big Show's build to Backlash 01, when Shane read out Shane and the Beanstalk, where the Big Show was the giant in the story. And it was a rhyming thing, and it was exactly the same as this, only this was meant to be played seriously, and that one was played as a joke, and we were all meant to be laughing at the Big Show and laughing with Shane McMahon. Here, though, you're meant to be like, oh, Joe's scary, because there's some creepy music in the background.
Yeah, I really thought it was
Lame?
It was really quite lame, and it
wasn't the lamest thing on this show.
It's made me not as excited for them having a match, and I was excited last week, like you said. That pull-apart brawl where AJ, his rage has gotten the better of him. That's such a simple story. Joe is a master manipulator and he's dangerously psychotic. And he's manipulating AJ, who is very prone to getting emotional. Boom, that's a story.
Yeah.
And you've got the family, Joe using the family to bring that in. Why are we having a bedtime story?
This happened.
With a gimmick book. Why's the prop? I want to destroy that book.
That'll be in the WWE archives now, in their big warehouse of stuff. It's got all the WCW stuff they've never used.
I'm going to do a Seth Rollins 2K video game commercial and go and burn all that crap down.
Yeah, there's a moment in the build to SummerSlam when this happened. And again, this is why I feel like this whole thing's been built out of it's like Mad Libs. But like they have said, they were like, so Joe like choked out AJ, and then he cut a promo. And then the next week, AJ came out and was like, you have made me like lose my temper and act out of character. And I've gone, has he? Because I've not seen any of that. But now we have seen some of that. Again, feels out of order. But then he just sat down and he just cut this promo where he was like, it doesn't seem like I'd lose my temper occasionally, but I'm going to cut a very measured promo on you now.
You know when Road Dogg says, well, that's not the story we've been telling, that's the story you've wanted to hear. So, because you're bad at telling stories! Because it's out of order! It's vague! Some people allude to motivations that you've never shown us that have any reason for.
Show, don't tell.
Yes.
So it's the first rule of storytelling, at least in film.
So, the one plus point, the last page of this book that Joe has read to us.
This was cool. Well, like it was an image of him with the WWE Championship next to AJ's wife and child,
who were looking at Joe adoringly.
Yeah,
I got a kick out of that.
Yeah,
but everything else was this was a real feud to me because you brought in the family. Joe's performances have been amazing. I like the flying off the handle character of AJ. And all this just said, it's a fake thing, remember?
Well, yeah, I mean, as I said to you, like, and I've said on the show, from SummerSlam, the only things I've really seen is the Joe and AJ match, and I saw the triple threats between Becky, Charlotte, and Carmella. Those are the two things I've actually seen from the show. And AJ Joe, and I was like, this is really cool. And it was AJ flying off the handle, and it was really intense, and I was like, man, this is stepping up another gear. This is like we're just downshifting. We just need to take this back to second because we're not quite ready to get back up to fifth yet, which means that now we're building up to a match. It's this Sunday, but it doesn't feel like it's this Sunday.
Yeah, surprise, surprise, when Joe and AJ tell this story through wrestling, it's exceptional. When it's left to WWE promos and skits, it's damaging.
Yeah.
But should we do the whole show?
It's a SmackDown review, Maggle. I love it. We got us a flying Uso.
SmackDown kicked off with Jeff Hardy coming out to the ring, dressed in face paint stuff with his third eye, or his fifth eye.
His fifth eyes, man. Come on.
His fifth eye. And this is another example of Jeff going, or a WWE person going, I have gone off the handle. I'm now like a crazed character. Like, I've seen crazed Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
He did a swanton bomb off a little thing through a table. That's mild Jeff Hardy. That's Tuesday Jeff Hardy for me.
He's so wacky. He's so crazy. He's so out of control. He wished everyone would enjoy the show. Whoa! He's unstoppable.
All my neurons are firing. So yeah, he's getting over. Well, he's saying all this stuff that's really rings hollow to us who have been paying attention to the last couple of weeks. And he says, I'm gonna face Randy Orton at this Sunday, and I'll make the Viper fade away and classify him as obsolete, which got a slight sing-along.
A
from the
slight,
TNA fans.
very slight.
The crowd were pretty dead, and you know, Jeff has a unique style of promo. It's not my cup of tea. Mm-hmm. And sort of like anecdotally there, didn't seem to be the entire crowd's cup of tea either.
But I would certainly say so. But I'm still a mark for Jeff Hardy. So every time he comes out, I'm like, sweet, Hardy's here.
Well, no one's ever said...
I have got this like 1999, 2000 love for Jeff Hardy that apparently will just never die.
Well, and it shouldn't either, because no one's going, wow, that classic Jeff Hardy promo that I remember from my youth.
No.
They're all... Because he got over for his wrestling.
Yeah.
And being an enigma. He's a charismatic enigma. What takes away an enigmatic presence? Talking like a goofball. And that's what happened here. I don't know if you heard it. On my feed, at least, I could hear a kid talking through all of... That's how crowd how crowd the quiet was. How quiet the crowd was.
Yeah.
There must have been a kid sitting near a mic, just talking
into the mic.
Yeah. So he has a match against Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yep.
Which I enjoyed.
I didn't think there was much to the match. It was very standard Hardy Nakamura action. Felt a bit sort of like, second on a house show vibe to it. Nothing terrible about it. It's not like it was poorly worked or anything like that. It was just it was there. My only sort of real and at the end of it was a DQ. Randy comes out of nowhere and crushes Jeff, and then he hits him with a chair, and Jeff fights back and stands tall. Nakamura just Thanos into nowhere. But my overall, I was like, God, you could tell that WWE clearly had no plans for Nakamura once he won the belt. Because why isn't this a three-way feud? Remember when this first started and we were like, this is going to be an amazing three-way feud between Nakamura, Hardy and Orton over the United States Championship. That's something a bit different. The three of them fighting and you can do different variations of the matches. That's going to be really cool. Nakamura hasn't factored into it at all. He's been the third wheel to this. And I know a few people say the third wheels are good because it makes a trike. But that's not the point.
I think he's the fifth wheel.
He's the fifth wheel. He's the fifth eye.
Yeah,
he's the fifth eye in the scenario.
Fifth wheel.
But it hasn't really worked. And why doesn't Nakamura have a feud? Why doesn't he have a match this coming Sunday? Why isn't the belt being defended? Why is there no one on SmackDown who's like, I want to be United States champion, apart from R-Truth, and he's now distracted by something else?
Yeah, not the longest attention span, R-Truth,
No.
nor Carmella, who wants losing her title belt. Maybe that's why they're a good act together.
Yeah.
She's no longer interested in it. I totally agree about all the Nakamura stuff. It's just crazy that Nakamura plus the United States title hasn't got him a storyline or a match at Hell in a Cell.
Nothing.
I'm not saying I want more matches on dual-branded pay-per-views. I just want the best guys to be booked with titles in meaningful feuds.
Well, here's the thing I would say about WWE. They have got a large roster of wrestlers at the moment. A large roster of wrestlers that you can kind of like trade in and out. You can do things, you can do this. But what they've done is they've announced for Super Showdown the same matches we're going to have at Hell in a Cell and we're going to have at SmackDown 1000. And none of them involve Nakamura. Like, switch people around, put them in different things. One of the benefits of NXT shows, with the exception of Ciampa and Gargano, they've always had a different lineup. It's always been different people going for the titles. That's why they always feel fresh. Yeah. It's different people trying to beat Velveteen Dream. It's always these like different feuds and setups. Whereas here, it's like it's the same match over and over and over again ad infinitum until you've reached the end of it, and you're like, cool, now we'll just do the same matches again, but for the next 3 months.
Yeah, totally. But I did enjoy the end part where, because it protects. I thought Nakamura was going to lose. Jeff gets the upper hand, Twist of Fate goes up for the Swanton Bomb, gonna hit the Swanton Bomb. I'm like, oh, Jeff's got the pay-per-view match this Sunday. He's gonna beat Nakamura. Oh, I don't like that. But Randy Orton pushes him off the top rope and beats him down with a chair a bit. But then Jeff comes back and, hits Orton with stuff of his own, hits the Swanton Bomb, sends him packing. I liked it. I thought it made me excited for Randy Jeff. Nakamura was protected. And yeah, this was like a half-hour segment in total.
Yeah, in total. Yeah, it went long. Went through 2 commercial breaks.
So I thought this was okay, but it sucks that Nakamura hasn't got stuff.
Yeah,
and Jeff shouldn't really be cutting promos. But other than that, this was all good.
Fine.
Miz and Maryse had an interview backstage. Next, promoting
with the new interviewer.
Interviewer.
Yes. Sorry, I do apologise.
Isn't she the ring announcer
from
for
NXT? That's who I thought it was. Kayla, I think her name is.
Kayla Braxton?
Oh, that sounds familiar.
I don't know. It just came out of my head. I don't know. I've never seen her before.
Yeah, I think it's her.
I've got like a random WWE name generator. Braxton,
McGillicuddy.
Yeah, she's interviewing Maryse, promoting the main event of Maryse and Brie Bella.
It will be her first singles match in 7 years.
Wow.
Cool.
You know, that shows what a great wrestler she is.
Well, she had a great line here where she did say that it took Bryan 3 years to return to the ring, but it only took me 5 months after giving birth. That was a good line.
That is badass.
Yeah, and Miz said that Brie had to return to fight Bryan's battles. Good stuff. Good heel work by Miz and Maryse.
Surprise, surprise. Miz and Maryse are a great act.
Yeah.
Then we got the AJ Styles Empty Arena promo. Then we got a recap of Charlotte and Becky's split-screen interview thing last week. And Charlotte does an interview backstage that she wants competition. Even though she's going to match against Becky this Sunday, she wants competition now. And yeah, they're still trying to go for Charlotte as a babyface.
I've seen a few people theorise they're going to do a double turn at Hell in a Cell, which isn't out of the realms of possibility.
I think that would work very well.
It's the one feud where you could definitely do it at the moment.
Yeah, and that's why she's going to face Sonya Deville now. So Sonya and Charlotte, I thought they work really well together.
Yeah, Charlotte wrestled in a t-shirt, oddly.
It was a Connor's Cure t-shirt.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Because heel or face, you're gonna put over the charity. Which is, it's fine, but you want to start using this as angles. Sonya should rip off the shirt, tear it.
Well, they sell it online,
heat.
don't they? That's the whole thing. It's an auction thing. But I thought you wore it as like an auction thing. You wore it down to the ring, and then you take it off, and that's the auction.
No. You want that sweat.
You want to smell it afterwards.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That is going to get a certain type of fan is going to spend more on a used Charlotte shirt
than just a regular Charlotte shirt.
Yeah.
That's very true. There was a couple of nice spots here where Charlotte did the moonsault and Deville got the knees up, and then she locked in a really good-looking triangle, actually, and Charlotte powerbombed her. I think she was meant to powerbomb her back into the ropes and then spin it round, but she was out of position and just powerbombed her neck first into the ropes.
Yeah, like the second rope as well.
Yeah, God, it looked like
weird.
it sucked.
And then she hit a normal powerbomb.
And then she nearly fell over trying to put on the figure eight. So I called it an average match in the review.
Yeah, I think that's fine. But I love this.
This was my favourite thing on the show. By leaps and bounds, this was my favourite thing on the show.
So Charlotte gets out the ring. She's celebrating with people, and I'm like, okay, come on, where's the Becky run-in now? And she's posing with a few people. I'm like, where's it going to come from? And she stops and takes a selfie with some like girls in the crowd, and I was like, where's it gonna happen? And then Chris Jericho grabs her hair, and he's wearing a lucha mask.
Pentagon Junior. No, it's not.
No, it was actually Chris Jericho dressed as Becky Lynch, dressed as a brunette woman with glasses on.
It was a very good disguise.
It was.
I didn't recognise her. I genuinely popped. I was like, oh my God, it's Becky Lynch. I thought this was wicked.
That's how good an actor she is.
Absolutely.
She can act her face differently.
Yeah. They on our Discord, someone has shared a GIF of their friend at the show. And when Charlotte's walking around ringside and she's high-fiving him, he completely ghosts her. Like, he's not even looking at her. He's, like, looking past her. Aww. He didn't even... I don't think he realised she was walking up to him. He was distracted by something else. She's, like, high-fiving all these fans, and he's just there going... just looking at something else. It's quite funny, really.
I can't believe I'm going to say this. But this is because we are, we're one with the SWAF Nation. We share stuff. I had a weird dream about Charlotte last night.
Uh-oh.
I know.
This sounds like a safe for the podcast, but we're doing the main show.
This is hot off the back of the dream where Paige was my girlfriend. Nothing these are nothing sexy, these dreams. They were just like, we're just hanging out. And we're in a relationship. It's weird. And this one, like, me and Charlotte was somewhere with other people, and then we walked down the road to get some crisps or something from a shop, and we were talking, and she just held my hand.
Oh, so
and that was it. And now, like, I don't know, I just feel like I like Charlotte a bit more. You can't shake the dream, and when you see those,
Were any of the crisps gonna be good? Woo!
Actually, that would have... that's the second SmackDown female wrestler who I've dreamed about being in a relationship in a platonic way. Nothing, no naughtiness here.
Fair enough, mate.
There you go.
You do you.
So this angle, Becky jumps over, great surprise, gets her in the disarmer on the ramp. Charlotte's screaming, a really good selling of it, I thought, and then Becky just walks off. I thought that was such a good angle that they should have kind of extended that out a while. I think that should have been one of the bits where Becky goes up to leave, then comes back down, puts it in again.
Yep.
People are trying to pull her off. This is a crazy, badass Becky again.
Yeah, I could have definitely gone for that, yeah. But she did walk backstage and she said that she was going to break Charlotte's arm once she takes the title.
Yeah.
Which I like that as well, because that's not like I'm going to break her arm and then take the title. It's like, no, I'm going to win the belt and then break her arm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Then we got the Night AJ bedtime story for that feud. Then we got Rusev Day versus The Bar. Fun match.
Yeah, it was a fun little match. There was a really... So they had this thing, because the New Day... And you could tell they were going to be doing commentary later on, because there was this massive tarpaulin over another commentary desk. And or a sheet, I should say. And so the New Day are out there on their pancake commentary table. Someone did send me a tweet saying, like, how many pancakes are wasted? Like, just setting up that table.
No, they're all eaten.
By Big E.
Love pancakes.
So there's all so they're out there, and then Kofi Kingston cuts back, like he throws it to backstage area where they're going to have an interviewer do something with The Bar, but it's Kofi Kingston dressed up like an interviewer essentially doing the his name escapes me now. It's Eddie Murphy's favorite comedian. Richard Pryor. It's Richard Pryor doing an impression of a white guy.
Yeah.
Doing
and it's
that
what
voice.
they did at Raw 1000. No,
Yeah.
Raw 25, wasn't it?
Yeah, they do it a lot
year.
whenever they do that voice. They do the Richard Pryor voice. And it's him doing, and he's doing this sort of like David Attenborough style thing where he's watching The Bar in their natural habitat, and then he throws back to the commentary table, and they're like, well, that was a great report. And
Yeah,
I'm
where
like,
Kofi Kingston sat.
I was
yeah.
like, we wasted TV time on this.
No,
I mean,
that
it was
fun.
fun, but at the same time, we weren't building to them versus The Bar.
I just thought it was fun.
It was wacky fun.
I think Xavier Woods, or like one of them was like, this will be funny. Should we do it?
Yeah.
Can we do it? Okay, we can do it. But cool.
Well, one of the things I like about the New Day is they don't feel like they're written by WWE. They feel like they're written by themselves.
Totally.
And that's why it works. And that's why they're genuinely good at what they do. And like Big E, this whole match is mixing batter. He's like just pouring stuff in and making up this gross looking batter. And you got Corey Graves in commentary going like, it smells so bad over there. Like, it's really funny. It's really good stuff.
So I'm worried there's a hypocrisy here because, I just said the Samoa Joe thing with the bedtime story makes it feel fake, and that was a real thing. And here I am.
This is clearly fake.
Praising a very fake thing because Kofi is in these two places at the same time. I would argue it depends on the character. It's a case-by-case basis.
New Day are comedy characters. Yeah.
So it works for them. But yeah, this was a good match. The Bar, Rusev Day got a huge chance.
Yeah.
With Aiden English doing I thought he looked awesome.
There was a really funny line
intro.
where Corey Graves called them Prestige Worldwide, which is really good.
The match got started in commercial break, and yep,
English
is worked over a lot.
Key to this match, there was the finish when Sheamus was set up to do the bro kick, and Aiden English pushed Rusev out of the way so he could take the bro kick, and that allowed Rusev to hit the match kick and get the win. So Rusev Day won. They're now going on to go for the tag team titles at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
Great stuff, because this is all about Aiden English trying to like redeem himself in the eyes of Rusev, and it's worked to the point now where they've got a tag team title show, which is going to make Rusev's betrayal of Aiden English all the more dastardly, which is likely going to happen at Hell in a Cell at this point.
No.
Oh, totally. Not remember Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. This is the exact same time they did that when he took the ladder shot.
No, we need a longer period of time. No, don't do that to me. I love Rusev Day together at the moment. They're such a... Lana looks so happy.
I like them as a trio as well.
But this was good, and it was a good finish. And
Great finish.
Well, we were talking about how good the Bar versus New Day would be last week, and we thought heel versus face dynamic would dictate that. But yeah, Rusev Day face versus face works as well. So this will be a good match, hopefully, if it gets time. Andrade, Cien, Almas beat our Truth next.
Yep, Carmella is a babyface now. She has been 100% gendered into this role. Yeah.
It's a great verb.
She's been
totally gendered here.
Yeah, and It was a very short match.
Mauled over.
Mauled over. Nice.
Over Mahal.
Yeah, an over Mahal. And so Zelina Vega tried to sort of get in and do her Tranquilo pose, but Carmella pulled her out because she's a babyface now. But that distracted Truth, and it allowed Almas to roll him up. And you can tell that Carmella is now a babyface because Corey Graves doesn't like her. So she is now 100% a babyface here. And we were talking about we were possibly going to record our Hell in a Cell predictions for this Sunday. And I was like, well, let's wait because I guarantee you this is going to be added as a pre-show match for Hell in a Cell, a mixed tag match.
Almas and Vega, the pre-show act.
Oh, absolutely. At the moment they are, yeah. Because Vince McMahon's very impressed with him by all accounts.
Yeah. So let's package him with his non-wrestling manager.
Mixed
usually.
tag matches.
Yeah. There was a really good spot in this match where Almas did this like handstand flip double knee.
He did a handspring backflip kick. It was really cool, like Kota Ibushi's backflip kick, but he did like a handspring into it. It was very cool.
Yeah, Almas is great.
Yeah, he really is.
And we were saying like our Truth is very good as well. It's a shame that you need the ladies to accompany it. I thought this was this would be a solid feud to get Almas over. Truth loses nothing in a singles feud, but it dilutes it with having these extra layers to it. Mainly Carmella.
Maybe we can build to the Big Show at SmackDown 1000. That's when you do the singles match.
Yeah. Oh, I thought not the Big Show.
Not the Big Show, no.
He's too busy putting over all the kids. Then we got
Oh, okay, right. Well, let's talk about this then.
Now, I was sitting outside when you were recording your SmackDown review, and I heard you get angry. Now, I'm at the point where so it's Asuka and Naomi's backstage interview. This is off the back of last week, where after a few weeks of losing to Peyton Royce and Billie Kay,
Naomi won
in a 90-second match. Didn't really prove anything. Then she's getting beaten down by the Iconics afterwards. And who should run down for the save but someone who's really never had any association with Naomi before? It's Asuka.
It was not the return of Tamina that we all thought it might be.
That we all hoped for. And yeah, so it's like, okay, that's quite thrown together.
Yep, we needed a match for we needed a match for the Iconics at Super Showdown because it's in Australia.
Yeah. So Asuka and Naomi are friends now, and this was the backstage interview to explain that and what went down. So
essentially, here's a funny thing: Asuka's not from America, and that's funny. Is now Asuka's character. So Kayla asks her a question. Asuka's about to answer it, and then Naomi walks in and asks the same question. And then Asuka says the reason why she helped Naomi last week is because the Iconics are mean, and Asuka doesn't understand their accents. So that's part one of it. And then Naomi says, you can feel the glow. And Asuka says, go. Okay, I'll go. Because she's not from America, you see. Therefore, she doesn't understand English. That's funny. And then, so Naomi's like, no, glow. It's written on my chest. And she's like, Then she starts speaking in Japanese. But Naomi doesn't speak Japanese, so that's also funny. And she thought she said teriyaki. And she likes teriyaki. So she's like, let's go get some food. And Asuka's like, yeah, I like food. And then they left. And it was f***ing rubbish.
Luke caught me non-aware with that.
Yeah.
You didn't like it that much?
Oh, I thought it was it made Asuka so lame. Like, as I said in the reviews, like, she's gone from the undefeated Empress of Tomorrow, the longest reigning NXT Women's Champion, to the winner of the Royal Rumble, the first ever Women's Royal Rumble, till this, like, almost main event level WrestleMania match, this big WrestleMania attraction, to now she's doing skits about the fact that she's Japanese and therefore don't speak English good. Like, it's really, really awful.
We met some really lovely chaps over the weekend. What was their podcast called? Five Moves of Doom. And one of them had only gotten into wrestling at WrestleMania 34. And he was like, I just fell in love with Nakamura and Asuka. And I was like, you like Japanese culture by any chance? And then I looked at him. I was like, that's why your hair's that colour.
Yeah.
It's got green on one side and sort of that pink colour on top, like Asuka's hair. I wonder how long that's going to last if this continues.
So when Asuka was in NXT, I bought an Asuka T-shirt. It was from when she won the NXT Championship, Women's Championship from Bayley at that WrestleMania weekend match they had, because it was awesome. And I was just so into Asuka at the time. I was like, man, I want to have an Asuka T-shirt. So I bought an Asuka T-shirt. It's gotten to the point now where I'd be embarrassed to wear that T-shirt because she is so lame. Like, this is the lamest thing. I didn't like it at all.
No. So, of course, just to point out, Asuka is one of the best workers in the company.
Yeah.
Male or female.
Absolutely.
This is all how she's been booked.
Yes.
I've written here, Asuka is awesomely kawaii here.
She is a bit kawaii, yeah.
And it did get a few sniggers from the crowd.
Because that's what you want from a badass.
That's it. Like, I didn't think this was terrible as an isolated segment, but for her character, it is not what I want to see. It's really like, why would you do that to someone you've built up this strong? I mean, Triple H just must be crying himself to sleep over the last few weeks. And most interestingly, I think my lady partner doesn't like wrestling, so I often use her as a sounding board to, what do you think of this idea? Do you like this person? What do you think of the presentation here? And she'll give me, like, someone who's not in my bubble's opinion. And one of the breakthrough characters is Asuka. She loves Asuka. She will sit down and watch her entrance, won't really pay attention for the match, and then come back for the finish, like a lot of fans. And I told her about this morning. I just described the segment and I tried to make my face as disgust-free as possible. And she went, no, but that's not Asuka. Asuka's meant to kick ass.
Right.
And I went, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That is a problem then.
It is so problematic. And I said this in the review as well, but like, Asuka was such an open goal for SmackDown Live, particularly because she's not on the same brand as Ronda Rousey. So you could almost do this thing of, like, you can build Asuka up to be this sort of not, you don't have to do the undefeated thing, but this, like, ultimate badass, this ass kicker, this really cool character, to then perhaps build to a potential dream match between Ronda Rousey and Asuka, and I don't know, make some money and like sell some network subscriptions off the back of it. Like, that's an open goal, right? But no, at this point now she don't speak English, and that's hilarious.
Yeah. And they really do, and like we talk about the underlying misogyny to the WWE writing team. There's definitely an underlying, like, xenophobia as well here.
100%, yeah.
It's like the track record is too concrete.
Yeah.
Nakamura had the exact same thing earlier this year.
But he made that part of his character, like, I don't speak English.
Yes.
Even though he was clearly speaking English. That sort of worked. This here, though, this was...
But last year,
yes.
With Jinder.
Oh, yes! Oh, I forgot about the Jinder thing. Yeah, you're absolutely right. This was bad.
Okay.
I thought this was very bad.
Thankfully, what was not as bad as I
we
thought it would
be
was Brie Bella versus Maryse in the main event, because there was a lot of smoke and mirrors.
Oh,
in
yeah.
fact, they probably only exchanged under 10 wrestling moves.
This was more angle than match.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly what it should have been.
That's exactly what it should have been. And I thought this was actually a really fun way to close out the show. So it was Brie hole versus Maryse, falling into that Brie hole. But it was all about, like, Maryse just kept bailing out of the ring, and then she'd get back in the ring, and then exit again. And then Miz just cut a promo, was just like, this is silly. I'm not fighting you now. What would be the point?
Because Brie was like, you're cowards.
You're a coward. It's like, we're not cowards.
Yeah.
So
and then they walk off like cowards.
Like cowards, yeah.
So good.
And apparently, Maryse is one of the longest reigning women's champions in WWE history. That is stunning. That is a stunning fact.
So they say this on commentary. And I was like, no, that can't be true. And as if Corey Graves reads my mind, he says, and that's true. They all know how insane that is.
That's a fact.
Yeah, that's like a Brock Lesnar title reign where That is not defended often.
Why aren't we then saying that Maryse is one of like the trailblazers of the women's division, like we're claiming that Alicia Fox is?
She soon will be.
Yeah, I guess so.
This was... Brie runs after them as they walk away, drags Maryse in the ring. They go about 30 seconds before Brie gets her in the yes lock. Miz just throws her out of the ring to break it up. Brie goes flying. And, of course, that means Brie wins by DQ. And then they start to brawl. Bryan accidentally knocks. So this was... I enjoyed the brawl. And that they're having the brawl and it ends with... there's a bit where Brie and Bryan are sort of on the down. But they come back and they send Miz and Maryse packing at the end. But there's a moment in this where Bryan accidentally knocks Brie off the apron. And
she's on the floor, and Miz throws him over the rope, and he lands into Brie.
Right, and Brie's down, and Bryan's checking on her. And I thought, oh wow, that's an intriguing go home angle. But then she's up about a minute later,
she's fine.
Nothing's happened, which is a shame because you could sell like, oh my god, I've brought my wife back into this to help fight the battles. And I've just knocked her out as a result.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been a really solid go-home angle. And it kind of gives you that, what's going to happen? Will she be okay? There's a weakness to play around. Bryan's now the underdog against Miz and Maryse. Like, he'll have to have one eye on the opponents and another eye looking out for his wife. But yeah, they just they didn't seem to know what they had there.
Yeah, it was a bit of an odd moment, but I overall I thought this was a fun little go-home angle for the match. And this, we talked about this last week, it's an artificial extender to the feud because Bryan is facing Miz at Super Showdown and at Raw 1000, SmackDown 1000. So this is just a way to keep the feud, keep that plate spinning, but not have the same match over and over again. I did think, though, this probably does mean that we're getting Brie and Maryse at Evolution, right?
Yeah, it wasn't on that leaked running order.
Well, I don't believe that. I think that leaked running order has already been proven to be fake, hasn't it?
Hasn't been proven to be fake. It's been speculated to be fake.
Oh, I mean, it looks well fake.
Yeah, here's conveniently the thing.
Yeah.
We did say it was we did clarify that it is a rumour in the news earlier today. But I've fallen into a Brie hole where I thought this was okay. We're getting this mixed tag match that I really don't care for at Hell in a Cell because this was kind of a fun go-home angle. But, just if you're like, don't be... But this is fun. This is good. This is a nice next chapter in the feud. Imagine if Bryan and Miz were going for the number one contendership.
Well, they are a Super Showdown.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want some humble pie?
Yeah, okay.
I
forgot about that.
That's the Super Showdown one. Is for
that's
the number
why
one contendership.
That popped into my head.
I was going to
say... I've already read that that's happening. Okay, well, you gave it a 3 out of 5.
I thought it was a 3 out of 5. I thought that there was nothing overtly horrible on the show apart from the Asuka thing, but there was also nothing particularly great on the show apart from the Becky moment. So the show was very much just in the middle the whole way through. It was a better go-home show than Raw was, but that's not saying a lot.
Yeah, I would also give it a smack bang in the middle. And a smack bang in the middle for a normal SmackDown, knowing that it's also a go-home show, probably give it a low smack bang in the middle. It's the same rating. Just gone from 3 to like 2.75 or 2.5. But yes, that's all we've got time for today. Please click the videos that have just appeared on our laps to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk awesome things. And this button right here, which will subscribe you to the podcast, the Apple Podcast version of this show, which has exclusive intros and outros, where we've got a saucy email that we read out yesterday. That was fun. I've been Ollie Davis, this has been Luke Owen, and that was Rambling.